Welcome and thanks for coming back. We're now going to cover the main events for the Azonto time bill. A lot of people have said this morning it should be called the About Time bill after the false starts we've had with Richard COMMEY, which we'll come on to in a little moment. But we're delighted to be showcasing such a great card. As I mentioned in the first part, and I will repeat it again for those that weren't watching, we have 4 either current or former area champions on the card, 1 former Commonwealth champion on the card, 2 prizefighter champions on the card, 1 former British champion on the card, and 1 current IBF Continental champion and an African champion on the card. It's an unbelievable bill, headlined by Richard COMMEY against Carl Buckland for the Commonwealth title against Gary Buckland, and Gary deserves extreme credit for being the only British fighter with the cojones to step forward and fight Richard, and he deserves unbelievable credit for that, and we'll cover more about that in a minute. We have Battle of the Undefeated for the Southern Area Light Heavyweight title between Miles Shinkwin and Joel McIntyre, and I think between them they're 21-0, so it's going to be an amazing fight. Freddie Turner, also from the Johnny Eames camp, he defends his Southern Area title against Chris Aguilera, who has always wanted to win a Southern Area title. This will be his 3rd attempt. We have Joe Mullender and Danny Connor fighting for Masters titles, and then we've got a great cruiserweight bout between Tony Conquest, former Commonwealth champion, and Carl Dilks, Larry Akindaya, former prizefighter champion, etc, etc, etc. It's an unbelievable night, and as I say, it's a TV card without TV. What I'm going to do now is introduce everybody up here. I'm then going to pass the microphone to Mickey Amu, who has been involved in the whole Richard COMMEY saga. He'll talk about it from Derry Matthews through to where we are today. And then we've got loads of questions. I'll pass them through to Matt from Boxing Evolution TV, and then we'll round it up with a few chats with everybody on the panel. So, to my right, we have the current IBF Continental Champion and African Champion, Richard COMMEY. 17 fights, 17 wins, 17 stoppages. It's an unbelievable record. I think it's only Deontay Wilder that's got a better record of this in the world. Next to him is his manager, Mickey Amu, who's been instrumental with his company Streetwise Promotions in bringing this fight to the UK, and it took a lot of heartache to do it. Next to Mickey is Carl Loco. Carl Loco is Richard's trainer, and they've been based in the UK for many months waiting for a fight that's not happened due to various reasons. On the right of Mickey we have Chris Aguilera, who I've been really privileged to work with. He's a great guy, works really hard. He had 2 attempts at the Southern Area title against Nathan Graham. The first one was a draw, and the second one he was doing very well in when he dislocated his shoulder, and that was probably one of my worst nights boxing, seeing that happen to him. But he gets his 3rd attempt, which I promised that we'd deliver for him against Freddie Turner, which is a real tough contest on this show. Next to Freddie is Miles Shinkwin. It's happy birthday, Miles, his birthday today. And he's got his first title of what he expects to be the first of many, is when he fights Joel McIntyre, which will be a great fight on the show. And next to Miles is Jason Rowland, who's worked tremendously well with Miles, Tony Conquest, Mitchell Smith amongst others, and he's a great trainer. On my left is the man who has made this possible, Gary Buckland. He was the man, the only man, that wanted to step forward and take the challenge on. The rest of them have been running for covers, running for the hills, and running wherever they wanted to go to. And this man, who's fought wars with Gavin Rees in his last 2 fights, is a real fighter. And I'm sure he's going to bring his A game in what most people call as a real 50-50 fight. Next to Gary is his manager, Brian Powell, who's done a great job in helping the fight get arranged. He's been an absolute pleasure to deal with. And on his left is an unbeaten light heavyweight from Portsmouth, Joel McIntyre. And I've watched his career with interest, and he's done extremely well. And obviously this for him is his D-Day as his Miles, and it's 2 great fighters going together on the undercard. And one of Britain's long-established trainers, who's had many champions, Johnny Eames, who works with Joel, is on the end of the table next to Joel. So what I'd like to do now is just to pass the microphone to Mickey Amu from Streetwise Promotions. He'll talk about the whole saga, and then we'll go to the questions. We've got many questions that Matt from Boxing Evolution has got.
Steve, firstly I'd like to thank all of you for turning up today and showing an interest in what we believe is going to be a great fight and a great show. Secondly, I'd like to thank Steve Goodwin, who's been instrumental in helping us get to this stage where we are, the only promoter who has shown an interest in what we're trying to do. and we're very thankful for that. I'd like to thank Gary Buckland for taking up the challenge. Like Steve said earlier on, as most wouldn't, for one reason or another. And I'd especially like to thank his manager, Brian Powell. I spoke to Brian after the first Gavin Rees fight, regarding maybe getting a match up with Richard, and he was very interested, very interested in the fight, and we spoke. And unfortunately, someone came in and offered him a rematch with Gavin Rees, which obviously preceded what we had to offer, which was you know, a TV show. So they took that, and unfortunately, we had to wait again. We then had a fighter that we was going to bring over from Ghana called Benjamin Ashley, who is in the Commonwealth rankings, and for various reasons, which I can't go into because there might be legal ramifications, his visa was not applied to him. So he was back to the drawing board. Didn't think this fight would happen. Steve then phoned me, we had a conversation. He said, look, I was in Atlantic City at the time at the IBF convention. Steve then phoned me and said, look, let's see what we can do. Went back to Brian Powell, and he was fantastic. All I can say was, thank you very much for taking up the challenge. You know, we really appreciate it. We know it's a 50-50 fight. You know, we're putting everything on the line here. We've come to the UK with Richard, you know, wanting Richard to improve, wanting Richard to learn, wanting Richard to test himself against the best the UK has to offer. Being a Ghanaian, it's not very often Ghanaians come over here and have a real chance of winning the Commonwealth title. We knew that, that's why we had a Commonwealth Eliminator back in, was it July last year? July last year, final Eliminator, which we knew Derry Matthews was the champion, and we was led to believe that we would be facing Derry Matthews. For one reason or another, Derry Matthews then decided that he wanted to fight Curtis Woodhouse when he should have really fought Richard. Then went on to fight Steve Norman. And me and Steve spoke and we thought, you know, this guy really doesn't want to fight Richard. Looks like he's going to duck him. So, you know, we didn't know what to do. So we spoke to the Commonwealth Council and said, look, we've had a final eliminator, where do we go? What do we do? They advised us that, well, we'd have to wait. It was like, wait for what? You know what I mean? We've had a final eliminator. We want... Is this mic working properly? We've had a final eliminator. We need to fight the champion. That's what a final eliminator is about. We then was told, well, Derry was going to have another fight and he got injured. But really, we wasn't interested in the excuses. We really wanted to fight. So we pleaded with the Commonwealth Council, say, look, you know, we've had a final eliminator. If Derry doesn't want to fight, and by all what was coming out of his camp, it was really, he didn't want to fight Richard, didn't want to take the chance, didn't want to take the risk. We believed that from himself and we believed that from his camp. So the Commonwealth gave them an ultimatum. They had a date. The date passed, so they were stripped. After they were stripped, we was asked to find any opponent in the Commonwealth rankings, any opponent that was in the rankings, that's in the ratings, to fight Richard. Me and Steve asked the question of every single lightweight in the UK who was on that list. Go through the names. What names are on here, Steve?
Kurt Goodings. Spoke to Kurt Goodings, his manager. He mentioned the purse. I said the purse isn't a problem. Then they went for an English with Cardle, Scott Cardle. Spoke to Eddie Hearn. He said he wouldn't put any of his lightweights in with Richard apart from Scott Cardle. He said he wouldn't take the risk. He wouldn't touch it. We offered it. We said, we would have offered Campbell 100 grand if he wanted it. They just were not interested. He was going to speak to Joe Gallagher, then the phone went dead, so Joe Gallagher obviously said no. So they were saying no. We went through, we just went, every single lightweight in this country was offered. Richard was also mandatory at that point to fight Kevin Mitchell for the IBF International. Kevin Mitchell vacated, okay, he's gone on to other things. But it's just a continual vacation, avoidance, excuses. And it's not about money, it wasn't about money, it was the fact they didn't want to take the chance. And for me, the problem with the British lightweight division is we've got a round robin competition of British fighters fighting British fighters. There's a world-class fighter here from Ghana, but they just seem to want to masquerade as world-class fighters. How can you be world-class fighters if you're only fighting British fighters? and not prepared to step forward and fight world fighters, or fighting hand-picked Mexicans that are coming here to roll over and are turning up a day before. It's ridiculous. So I don't buy into the fact we've got a load of world-class lightweight fighters. Gavin Rees is a world-class lightweight fighter. He's fought at world level. Gary Buckland is a world-class lightweight fighter because he's fought Gavin Rees and beaten him, and now wants to fight a world-class lightweight fighter. The rest of them are just British-level fighters who are fighting each other, and the public are believing all this nonsense. He's here, he's ready, he'll fight any of them, any time. If he beats Gary, then any single one of them can step forward, but I don't expect to see a very long queue.
The Commonwealth title is a British Empire title. It's actually run by the British Border Control, and it's a British title. None of the lightweights should be ashamed to step forward and have a go, because at the end of the day, if they want to improve their career, they've got to get in with someone they've never fought before. Regardless of Richard's record, he's still a fighter that is not the norm in the country. There's not too many fighters that fight like Richard here. And if you want to test yourself, if you really want to be the best, if you want to get to the pinnacle of boxing, then you've got to step in. You've got to step into the ring. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're masquerading as a boxer. You're not really a boxer. You know, so at the end of the day, Richard's here. I'm not saying Richard's world class yet, but he has got world class potential. That's what I believe in. That's why I've spent a lot of time, money and effort bringing Richard and Carl the first time. It's the only way for him for me to know, and for Richard to know how good he is. Last year we had the opportunity to go up to Scotland to spar Ricky Burns. At the time, Richard had just beaten Paul Truscott, and it was an opportunity for Richard to step into a ring with a genuine world-class operator, which everyone believes and understands Ricky Burns is, or was at the time. He was a world champion at the time. We went there purely out of respect for them asking us, but also to see how Richard would fare with someone of that stature. And we came away knowing. We came away knowing. And on July the 12th, you will all know, you will all see for yourselves what hard work has been put in over the last 2 years with Richard and Carl. So with that note, like I say, we're looking to win the Commonwealth title. Again, we're thankful for Gary Buckland for putting up the challenge. We're confident of winning. I'm sure Gary is confident of winning. It's going to be a fantastic fight. Everyone get down there and support both boxers.
Matt, are we ready with the questions?
Hi guys, we've got some emails and questions sent in from the viewers watching at home, so we've got a few questions. First of all, Chris Ajay-Dua from Alf Watson in Southampton. He said, I saw your last 2 Southern Area title fights on prime time. This is your 3rd attempt. Turner has beaten the guy who you did not beat. Why are you going to win?
Well, I have to show that on July the 12th, but obviously the first week, you see the first one, I got a draw, but to be perfectly honest, I think I lost the fight. I was honest enough about that. The second time, I was on the way to beating Nathan. He probably told you otherwise, but I honestly thought that the fight had changed, tied up at the second round. I think I had a bad start. 3rd round was coming back. 4th round, before my shoulder went, I felt I was the control of the fight turned around into my favour. So I think I would have beaten him the second time round. And I'll tell you exactly why I'm going to beat him, but I'm going to beat him because I'm trained hard. And this is my dream. This is my world title fight. I'm going to beat him because I'm going to beat him. Simple as that.
Is it a case of 3rd time lucky?
Well, then hopefully, but I had a joke about this on Facebook the other night. There'll be no luck involved, but if a bit of luck comes, then I'll happily take it. But hopefully, we won't need no luck. Hard work and dedication will be enough. And I've put enough hard work and dedication into this. Like I said, this is not just a soundbite. This is my world title. I mean, just being here today, I can't stop smiling. I'm doing press conferences. I didn't turn pro till I was 30 years old. To be here, fighting on the bill with someone like Gary Buckland. My first and foremost, I'm a boxing fan. To be boxing on the card with Gary Buckland, to me, it's a dream. I'm sitting up here beaming from here to here, so that's what I'm going to win, because this is my dream.
You think you've got that extra determination from having not been successful in the last 2?
I wouldn't say any extra. I mean, you see the one with my shoulder come out. I was determined enough to fight with one hand when my shoulder popped out. I wasn't never lacking to get the determination. Just had a bit of bad luck that night, and hopefully, like I said, if I need a bit of luck this time, I'll get the luck, and if not, I won't have the luck, I'll just win the fight, simple as that.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions on that subject before we move on? Okay. Next, a question from Miles Shinkwin from Paul Walsh from Bushy. Is this your hardest fight to date? I have read your chin and heart have been questioned. Have you ever been put down in the amateur or pros?
I've heard a lot of things about my heart, my chin, my stamina, my ability to do 10 rounds. If they're all true, then Joel, you've an easy night on 12. I think just talk about what I can and can't do. On the 12th of July, I'll show you what I can do. And that's all we've got to say about it, really.
So basically you're just completely disagreeing with what that
I know, I've got a glass chin, I've got no engine, I've got no heart. I'm pretty useless, really. I don't know why I'm boxing for, really, but if you come to the 12th, you'll see different sides of that story.
Okay, thank you, Miles. Okay, next we have a question for Joel McIntyre. There's Joel. Hello, Joe. This is from Andy West from Portsmouth. We believe in Portsmouth you will win this fight comfortably. Will you win on points or stop Shinkwin? It's glass jaw.
Glass jaw, yeah, glass jaw. I haven't said that, yeah. I suppose it's a stopper, isn't it? No, it's, I'm not looking to win on points. I'm not making any predictions. I'm going to make it, as long as it goes, it's going to be a terrible, terrible no to my opponent. You know, I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but I just mean it in very confident with everything that's going on in my training camp, everything that's going on behind the scenes that you don't see. Everything is spot on right now, and yeah, I'm very, very, very confident. We've both basically done our work. We've done our work. We've got our fights. We're both unbeaten. This is the exam. This is the test. You know. I guess we just see what happens. I'm just going to go through the fight. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to do what I've got to do. And if it happens, it happens. You know. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whichever way, it's a win. It's a win.
Have you seen much of Miles in action before?
No, I haven't. Again, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I haven't seen him. No, I haven't. My trainer, Harry Andrews, he's watched a few bits and pieces. So basically, he's going to come up with a game plan. We're going to execute the game plan, and it's going to work.
So you predicting a stoppage for this fight?
No, like I say, I don't make any predictions. I really don't. I don't like to disrespect anybody like that. I can't say I'm going to come in, I'm going to knock you over, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
But just a definite win.
Yeah, well, that's all I think. I just think that's it. That's how my life's going to go. That's it.
Any comment on that, Miles?
See you on the 12th.
Absolutely. The great thing about it is it's boxing, 2 unbeaten fighters. It's a serious fight. It's a real fight, you know. That's what excites me, and it's making me excited as I'm speaking now, because, you know, don't no disrespect to a journeyman, the game, you couldn't have the boxing game without him, but, you know, and not calling him a journeyman, I'm saying basically I've had 11 fights, and it's just time to step it up. I said to my manager, I said, look, I want proper fights now. I'm not going to be able to get my head in it for these people that just turn up for a paycheck. I want someone who's going to come and try and take me out as much as I'm going to try and take them out, and then the winner, you know, would be the better man to win on the night. So it's you know, hopefully it captures the imagination.
Okay, well, Miles doesn't look too impressed with what you've been saying there.
I'll try to stay respectful. I don't mean to be like that. He's obviously going to have a different opinion to me, you know, but like I say, I'll just try to be respectful. The man obviously works very hard at what he does. He's not here now if he didn't, you know, and I do the same.
Okay. So. Right, well, thank you very much, Joel. Next, we have a question for Richard COMMEY from Kevin McKerney from Worcester. Are you disappointed or happy with the change of opponent from Ashley to Gary Buckland?
Well, not really, because, you know, this is boxing. Anything can happen, you know. As long as I've got someone to fight, because I really need this title. So as long as I've got someone to fight him, I'm alright.
So whoever you get put in front of you,
that's it. I need this title, you know. I put my life behind this, and if I cannot win this title, then, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Brink or Kogan or Giant or whatever. I need this title, so I need to fight the person.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before we move on from Richard? Okay, next question for Johnny Ames from Paul Brown in London. Who has the better chance of winning Freddie Turner or Joel McIntyre and no sitting on the fence?
Difficult question for a manager to pick one fighter, but what I will say about these two boys, I'm not going to pick who I think will win and who won't win out my two fighters, because I think they'll both win. But with these two fighters, I've had some great fighters, some great champions in the past, and all of them applied themselves very well, but these two boys are just every bit as good as the Graham Mills, as the Kevin Lears, as the Kevin Mitchells. Of all the boys I've had in the past, these two boys are just equally as good. I won't be putting boys into title fights just for the sake of it. I'm not one of them managers who wants to say, yeah, my boy's fighting for a title. He ain't got a chance, but I'll put him in it anyway. All my boys who go into title fights have all got a good chance of winning. They shouldn't be in title fights if they're not 50-50 fights. You know, there shouldn't be no journeyman in a title fight. Each fighter should be of equal abilities and experiences. Sometimes you've got more experiences, but I'm sure that every manager sitting here with me would agree that you don't put your boy in a title fight just for the sake of it. Both my boys will be winners on Saturday night.
Okay, thank you very much. Next we have a question for Gary Buckland from Simon Porter from London. Are you annoyed you can't have your cider with Gavin Rees?
No, not really. But the plan was to come down to Super February after this fight. Then we had a phone call saying that Richie could come in and fight me for the Commonwealth. And as soon as the afternoon I know it was for the Commonwealth, I took it straight away.
So is there any particular reason why you're not avoiding Richard like others might be?
No, like Richard said, when the Commonwealth has a vote or any other title, you know, it don't matter who they are, I'll fight anybody.
Okay, can't say further than that. Thank you. Oh, we've got another question for you here, Gary. From Trevor Padden from Grays. What has made you take this fight with someone who has stopped everyone he has fought and has home advantage over you with massive support from Ghanaians in London? I suppose you have just kind of answered that, but if you want to add anything.
Yeah, well, like I said, that brings a bigger challenge to the table. Like, you know he's 17 now, 17 stoppages. You know, it's a challenge for me to take that all away from him and take the victory record.
Any response to that, Richard? Do you think the O's going to go? Do you think the O's going to go?
Well, I can't predict, but definitely I'm going to win.
Okay. We have a question here from for Brian Powell. This is from Trevor Padden again. Do you think Gary beats Richard, and if so, how?
Like Gary has said, well, first of all, I'd like to thank Steve and Mike for giving Gary this opportunity, because Commonwealth title is still a great title, and with Richard and Gary, two great fighters. Gary thrives on competition, especially for titles. But yeah, I think Gary's right, he's going to add an O to Richard's record, because they're great fighters, they both come forward fighters. It's going to be a tear-up, you know that. Gary loves a tear-up. So, on the night, best man will win.
Okay, thank you very much. And last of all, a question for Carl Locko. How do you see the fight going, and how does Richard win against someone who is so much more experienced than him and has mixed at a high level?
Yeah, thank you very much. Having this show coming on 12 July, we are very, very happy to see ourselves sitting here, especially with Gary Buckland. I mean, meaning the fight is coming on. Only with that one, we are happy. And for now, even here in the UK, it's our second hope. Now we're making sure that we are going to make UK proud, although we are coming from Ghana. And that is why we choose to come through the lightweights over here, because we know they have a good lightweights over here. That we thought we have to try our pulse with them. That is why we are here. Regards to Richard winning this fight or not or whatever, that is why we are here. You need to fight with the best, the ones that their names are there. You need to test yourself, fight with them, and come up with your decision. Let people know the man you are. Not most of the time by you talking much or making noise, but make sure when you go in the ring, you come up with your decision that people expect to know or to see. Richard is going to win, like I'm saying. The big man over there is not coming in the ring just to come and stand. I know he's coming there to do all his best that he can do, but I will urge him to do more, because we are going to give him something for him to cheer up. Thank you.
It's all about the dog.
That's it. It's all about the dog. The win. That's it.
I know Jason's a late addition to the panel at the bottom. I know he likes to chat.
Steve, that's all the questions done.
Jason, how do you feel the fight with Miles and Joe McIntyre will go?
I think it'll be a very good fight. But Miles sparred around with Joe before, didn't you? Yeah, a long time ago. I didn't see it, funny enough. No, I respect them, Joe and Johnny. But Miles is very, very gifted for a light heavyweight, and I believe he's going to go on for bigger and better things. It's his time to show, really, show his class. So I'm looking forward to it. So.
Okay, just before we go, to let everybody know that the show is going to be starting at 4 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. We've got 18 fights on. We've got 4 10-rounders, a 12-rounder, 9 4-rounders and about 5 6-rounders. So we're going to be going heavy. There may be some dropouts, of course, but we'd expect there to be at least 15 fights. So we are going to be starting at 4 o'clock. There's going to be a long, long night. But as I say, the ringside tickets are pretty much now sold out. I think apart from the boxes, there's about 20 normals left. So we're pretty much going to be sold out within the next week. So it's great that the boxers are going to be fighting in front of a full house. And it's just great for British boxing, and I'm proud to be staging such a great fight, a great show, and great top of the bill at your call. And I think it's great for all these fighters to have the exposure that they're going to get on the undercard of such a great fight. Just like to finish by thanking Gary and Brian once again, and Mickey, Carl and Richard for staying over here and persevering whilst it's been very difficult to get the British fighters to fight. I mean, when you are British, you do feel a little bit, and I'm involved in boxing, you do feel a little bit, I suppose ashamed is the word, that you've got a Ghanaian boxer here and none of the British fighters want to fight him. It's a bit galling, really. It's a bit annoying when you see them fighting each other on telly. I'd like to thank Chris Akisdua, and I hope sincerely that his dream comes true on the 12th of July. Miles Shinkwin and Joel McIntyre, appreciate them coming with Johnny and Jason, and I think that's going to be an epic fight. I think this is without doubt one of the best, the best non-TV show in the UK for many, many years, and I think the night will live up to it. I'd also like to thank everybody here for coming. The boxers are now going to do one-on-ones with everybody here, and thanks very much for making the effort to come to the Prince Region in Chigwell today. Thanks very much.